In the early 2000s, there was a popular TV show on Comedy Central called The Chappelle Show. It's a hilarious skit series made and hosted by Dave Chappelle. In one particular episode, there was a skit called The Racial Draft. It's this really great skit where celebrities and etc. are being inducted into different races like their sports teams picking up players. Individuals are getting put into those racial groups based off of the way they act and speak. For example, Tiger Woods acts white, quote unquote, so he was on the white people's team for the longest amount of time, but now he is suddenly being drafted by the black team for some weird arbitrary reason that's in conjunction with the comedy of this skit. The whole skit is great, and it's actually sitting on Comedy Central's official YouTube channel right now, so maybe give it a look if you want a quick laugh. The entire joke of all of this, the humor of this entire skit, is that, well, obviously, this is not how race works, and people are more than aware that this is not how race works. Just because you perform actions that are associated with the stereotypes of a specific race of people does not automatically mean you are a part of those people. Ignore my persona for a second. I'm a black guy, but I've also got the whitest accent on planet Earth. This does not automatically mean I am white simply because I perform an action that is associated with a racial stereotype. So yeah, the whole joke of this thing is that nobody in real life actually thinks or believes this unless they're f***ing stupid or something, right? Well, that's the deal. It seems like there are people out there that actually think that, because the way Mindy Kaling perceives the race of these characters seems to be solely dictated on that. Boys, last year I made up a word called inclusivity bias. Inclusivity bias is simply the act of trying to look inclusive on a surface level, but if you look past that surface, it's clearly discriminatory and or hypocritical towards other ethnicities or groups of people. It may not surprise you after witnessing the unnecessary race swaps and also the weird family tree edits that I never even mentioned, that Velma's appeals to inclusivity and pride and all that nonsense are paper thin. And once you tear that paper up, it's, well, like I keep saying, a mess. Now, boys, in my opinion, inclusivity is one of the most important foundations of all media. Making your cast of characters full of all different shapes and sizes of people, when it's appropriate, gives you the opportunity to make a more interesting story. The kicker here is when it's appropriate. It is not appropriate in this show at all. In this video, I'm gonna ignore Velma just for a split second and talk about the other three, Norville, Daphne, and Fred, and briefly discuss their storylines, race changes, and modifications just because I want to get a good understanding of Mindy Kaling's storytelling abilities, as well as an attempt at understanding at her general perception on certain types of people, because, well, that's what the show all is at the end of the day, let's be honest here. Daphne seems to be the least affected. As the episodes progress past her bizarre intro and lesbian tension, she performs, well, more bizarre stuff followed by lesbian tension. I didn't mention this until just now, but also Daphne does indeed have foster parents who are of course fucking lesbians, and yeah, she also has this weird side arc regarding her real parents, but whatever, who cares? When you get to its core, it's bottom of the barrel basic bitch college drama nonsense, which seems to be the only type of thing Mindy Kaling knows how to vaguely write, if you know her track record in producing shows. Point being, Daphne seems to be the least affected by all this, and there doesn't seem to be much to say about her, aside from her character modifications that serve to display diversity, ultimately boiling down to window dressing for Mindy Kaling's mediocre-ass writing skills. Now for Norville, Shaggy, whatever. He seems to be decently affected. This guy is an epic beta male cuck whose actions solely revolve around simping for the main character Velma, which is kind of fucking funny, or really effing funny now that I think about it. The guy started off right from the get-go saying I hate drugs, and I already know that was more than likely a dig on the fact that it's a running joke that Shaggy is a rumored stoner, but I don't buy it. I don't think that the reason why that joke was put in there was because of that. The show is constantly spewing all this meta commentary, and it's also like shoving these race swaps and diverse couples down your throat. Like, you know, Norville's parents are like, it's a white guy and a black lady, right? I never told you that either. But my point is that I think they just wanted to ham-fist the message because that's all they're ever focused on in this show. Anyway, throughout every single episode up until about episode 5, Shaggy, Norville, whatever you want to call him or whatever, is constantly being a simp lord, stalking Velma up until he bumps into a new character called Gigi. After that, he essentially jumps from being Velma's personal doormat to this new girl's.
Look, Gigi and I have decided that maybe I should spend less time with you.
Less time? But I only see you when I need you as is.
Sorry, Velma, but until Norval learns to stand up for himself, he's gonna do exactly as I say.
Now, I just want to talk about this just for a second. I've been watching a lot of cartoons lately, and I couldn't help but notice that a lot of, like, there's this really weird overabundance of, like, beta male black dudes in really awful looking SJW tier cartoons. Like the max level spineless cuck guys with, like, no self-confidence. For example, that one black guy in She-Ra. And then there's Parnell from High Guardian Spice, and then there's also this guy. I just wanted to point that out. Now let's look at Fred, the only person whose race was not modified. The only white dude in the main cast. The whole point of these weird race swaps, well, very clearly is there for the sake of diversity and trying to display equality, right? So, surely the only white guy will also be treated with respect too, right? Right, guys? Right? I don't even know I'm asking you this question. You already know the answer to this. As I said in part 2, I feel like it's pretty effing funny that while, yes, the entire show treats the Mystery Gang as crass, obnoxiously inappropriate shells of their former selves, the race swaps generally seem to be made with the intentions of respect and empowerment. So, what the fuck is going on with Fred?
Read this?
The feminine mystique. No way! I love Mystique! Is this about whether Jennifer Lawrence is hotter than Rebecca Romaine? Oh, I'm excited to see how they settle that in under 400 pages. Oh, I do miss my mom. Prison is cool, but nobody watches me pee quite like Mother. Velma, give me the chance and I can help you with anything. Well, except filling in your ethnicity on a form. I'm guessing Samoan?
Oh, that's funny. That's really, really funny. The only white male in the main cast is a super stereotypical meathead wannabe alpha male douchebag who's really dumb. That's really funny. Man, Mindy Kaling must have really healthy views on other races. By episode 2, we find out that he's the only son of a super prestigious privileged white family that expects him to be super epic, but he's actually a totally insecure disappointment. Also, he is embarrassing the fuck out of himself left, right, and center. By episode 3, he's in a jail cell, and again, he's embarrassing himself at every single turn because he's comedically stupid. By episode 4, he randomly develops a crush on Velma for an ill-contrived reason after discovering the beauty of girls or some SJW propaganda bullshit that happens, where Fred develops the kindergarten lesson understanding that the attractiveness of females don't just boil down to looks and nothing else. But you know, he's still comically dumb, so that's not character development in any way. He's still a dumbass, insecure man-child, only with different flavoring.
But all I can think of right now is the gender pay gap. Is it funny? Women make 20% less than men, and women of color even less? I can't stop laughing.
By episode 5... okay, you get the friggin' picture. Those simple explanations of Fred's dilemmas episode by episode are actually generous descriptions that I'm giving you boys. I didn't even talk about all the side notes specifically designed to make Mindy Kaling's imaginary audience point and laugh. I didn't even talk about how Fred hasn't finished going through puberty yet, apparently, so he has super sleek legs, lol. So funny, guys, baby legs. Man, Fred is so stupid because white people are all stupid. Then there's the part I mentioned last video where he's like, oh, he's so dumb, guys, he can't even cut food at the dinner table. Lol, so funny, guys. I swear, Mindy Kaling must have thought she was fucking hilarious when she wrote this shit down on script. Christ, man. Boys, this fucking show legit feels like bullying, bro. The way it tries to make every other character look like they're going through some form of complexity, but then they turn around and point and laugh at one guy, making him the absolute butt of the joke 100% of the time he is present on screen. Just like how whenever Velma is present on screen, you can expect some obnoxious form of meta-commentary, whenever Fred is on screen, you can expect the bottom of the barrel, me stupid, type humor, where this character just makes a dipshit out of himself constantly, or the writing twists itself around to completely humiliate this guy. It's straight up uncomfortable to watch sometimes, since, well, it's blatant racism. Not only is it blatantly racist maximum level cringe, but it's also hardcore tonal whiplash. We're doing all these goddamn adult jokes, we're doing all these super violent stuff and all this super gross stuff, and out of nowhere you got this fucking kindergarten level bullshit. Yo, me dumb, lol. It throws you the hell off. Every character in the show is generally treated like garbage, with the exception of Velma, but at the very friggin' least, most of these characters get improvements to their situation. By episode 5, Shaggy gets a girlfriend and stops simping for Velma. Daphne gets to have more lesbian tension with Velma and learns about her missing family, and Velma herself gets closer to solving her stupid little mystery while also having every single member of the mystery gang have some form of romantic affection towards her and her only. What were the odds? But what the hell is Fred doing? The answer is nothing. This show is trying hard as all fuck to act like it's got desires to, at the very least, make this show look like it wants to support diversity and equality. But then, the only white guy that's a main character ends up being the butt of the joke 99.99% of his own screen time. And thusly, this is an inclusivity bias. Boys, I just want you to think about that. This show couldn't even get its desperate appeals to racial equality right. How pitiful is that, dude? All of the bad pieces of media I've covered and made massive review series of in the past have inclusivity bias. High Guardian Spice's inclusivity bias was based off of blatant misandry and demonizing all men unless they wanted to be a trans girl. I Am Not Starfire's inclusivity bias basically boiled down to the creator of the comic projecting her own insecurities into the story, since it's the idiotic ramblings of a quirky, edgy emo teen. And lo and behold, Velma has inclusivity bias for rewriting an otherwise harmless white male into a constantly emasculated, insecure meathead douche while trying to act all diverse with the pointless race swaps. The only redeeming thing I can say is that Velma's inclusivity bias is not as bad as I Am Not Starfire and High Guardian Spices, because those pieces of media were designed for kids and teens. This is not. But still, that doesn't change anything. Regardless of it not being harmful to younger folk, that doesn't change the fact that this bias of inclusivity all exists for the sake of... well, I was gonna say comedy. That's what I wanted to say. But look, it's not. That's not what this bias of inclusivity exists for at all. Boys, I want to save this all for next part, but I'm having trouble containing myself. Remember how I said I Am Not Starfire was essentially someone taking a beloved franchise and tearing it apart and re-piecing it together just so the creator can validate her own idiotic ego? Yeah, well, I really don't know how to say this, so I'm just gonna tell you straight up. Next part is the last part to the review series, and it wasn't supposed to be, but after watching enough episodes of the show, I have decided that I am no longer going to continue subjecting myself to this garbage, even after I already pirated it and everything. To be concluded in part 5. It's time for the Patreon roll call. My $10 supporters are Cute Eater, Duke Dragon Hearthfire the 10th, Jack G, Joseph Vincent, Mr. Foursome, Procrastinator Dave, Syndrin7, and Stormy Knight. And let's not forget our $5 supporters. Dark Damien, Dragonlight Z, Elijah Holland, Phaedra Galaxy, Jambo J, Justin Giaconi, Kick Asterisk, Spink Bink Squam Pants, and Zephyr Zodiac. If you'd like to be in the credits as well, you know where to find me. Thanks for watching.